Hi, it's Grandpa Butler here, and I had a request to do a dolphin, and so I'm excited about that. We're gonna do the picture in permanent ink of sort of the outline of our dolphin, and this is not a dolphin, by the way. And then we're gonna color our dolphin, and this is still not a dolphin. And then we're gonna add some background for our dolphin. So three steps, and finally in the third step, we'll also put a little bit of sparkle in there, extra lines, touch up the lines here. So I skipped the usual drawing part of it. Here I've drawn the dolphin. And by the way, I want to thank my grandchildren and daughter-in-laws for encouraging me to put these videos up for them to look at. Some of you are far away, and I miss you all very much. So here's our dolphin. Let's start coloring him. And we're going to use three colors, a kind of sky blue here to get some of the highlights here of this animal. And now on these crayons, notice that I'm going to use the crayon like I would kind of a pencil to get, not to just outline, just to color in, but to also give structure to the object here and what you're doing. So kind of heavy on top, kind of light underneath. We're going to use that same color here. And then the two other colors we're going to use is I think a royal blue and ultramarine, and a dark Prussian blue, okay, which kind of sparkles. And if any animal in the world needs to be recognized with some sparkle, it's the dolphins here. So we're going to sparkle him. The Prussian blue will kind of light up here, and so we're going to put the tail here. And again, notice that I'm coloring here in a way not just to fill in stuff, but to give it kind of a structure here, as if some of the pigment in my crayons is going to remain behind, because that's what I usually intend to do. So the tail here is going to be a lot of Prussian blue. There's going to be a lot of dipping, dabbing down here, because in this picture I'm working from, it's the case that there's a lot. What I've done here is I've tried to indicate kind of water droplets by these little things here that I'm going to try to avoid coloring in, but Grandpa Butler's getting on in years, and so we never know quite how that will work with Grandpa. Okay, so here we go here, highlight here, beautiful eyes, and a little kind of shape here, shade here, bottom of the lip here. Okay, now we'll get our third color, which is the ultramarine here. And again, we're just going to touch it up here and there. And we're thinking this ultramarine will merge with this other blue here when we put them together here, and so we can get kind of a subtle textures of blue here in our dolphin. Okay. And so that's how we're going to start out. Now what we, next step here is we get out our brush here. This is a brush that I've grown to use a lot because although regular watercolor brushes also work Jim Dandy, there's more cleanup involved in them, more preparation involved in their use, and this is just when I use these watercolor crayons, right, they are just not as quite as portable regular brushes as this kind of brush here for what we're doing. So I don't want to make everything absolutely uniform and lovely. I just want to kind of, and now especially around these little bits of water that are showing through. I want to dab here to leave the impression that we get from the picture I'm working on of this dolphin coming out of the ocean here. Okay. The object at all times is to do something that I'm happy doing, have fun. And so it's what we're trying to do here is just kind of have fun. Okay, a little bit more here, and I think we'll be done with steps 1 and 2 because we started with our drawing. And now what we don't want to do here is overwork, or we want to leave some of the pigment out as indication of life in these objects, right? And so I think when I get done here, I'm going to come back around the eye and darken that up a bit, just for fun. Okay, so there I think we've got our dolphin. Now what we're going to do is work on the background. Turns out this dolphin is in a lot of water, in the ocean in fact. And in the photograph I'm working from, it's a pretty beautiful kind of green, gives you the idea of the Caribbean, I suppose. Never really been in the Caribbean that I remember, but now where the water droplets are, right, I am just putting little dots here on the green, and hopefully Grandpa will remember that he wants to just do dots of the greens with his strokes of his brush when he when he makes the colors come alive by brushing it with water. How's that? Activate. Oh, I snuck up on the word and I nailed it. Woohoo! It's going to be a good day. I can tell that already. Okay, so we're trying to do the kind of wavy ocean things, right? And we're doing that by kind of drawing in sort of directions that we'd see waves. Now, here we're going to use another turquoise blue as kind of an indication of those waves, and we have to be careful not to overpaint, right? Because I want to leave the wave structure in here, but I don't want to, and I don't want it to be one uniform green. I want it to look like there might actually be some waves here. I have not tried to do this with these colors ever before, so this is going to be a fun little experiment. I did pick them out with the idea that I wanted them to be sort of less sort of secondary to the brightness of the blues in the dolphin here, because the dolphin deserves that. Okay, so the idea then is this green and lighter blue, and then on the edge here we'll do some more light blues coming across as if that's nearly the horizon, but on the horizon here we'll actually put a darker blue. And what did we choose? Cobalt blue here. Okay. That sounds like a good thing to me. Cobalt, doesn't that sound good to you? And there it is. So let's do the water now, and then we'll try and do a little bit of landmass to make the boat. So again, we're trying not to get rid of all the pigment here. We want some show up kind of, and Grandpa forgets so often, and what he really wants to do is he wants to come in and dab around the water droplets so they don't disappear in some accidental swish of errant Grandpa moves here. Okay, so we kind of leave them dabbing, right? Dab, 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 especially there. And when we stroke here on the rest of it, we want to stroke in a way that we might think of the waves forming and being. And so I'm purposely leaving some of the pigment in there as part of that, although I think in pictures of oceans and waters, it's generally, you have to be very imagine. So maybe we can do some more of these and we can experiment and see whether or not this is really a good idea. But we are giving it a go here. And Grandpa didn't take off his mask because he's not going to start now. Because he was out in the hallway a minute ago before we started this. And that's okay. I'm not going to. So I was spending way more time on the water than I planned to. And it's, I think if I had some practice doing this, we would have been done 5 minutes ago with the water. But there, we sort of have water, we sort of have that. Let's sort of make land here. And what we're going to do is we're going to use some crimson red here for a landmass. And here we definitely have some whites that we're leaving in there and pigments here because we want to use those pigments, that white, as kind of an indication of structure even without getting any details here. Because a landmass, even a pretty landmass that would welcome dolphins, is going to be variegated in its colors. It'll have lots of different kinds of shapes and colors and imperfections. Okay, and so we're doing pretty good here. What we want to do is we want to get out our pin now here. We want to add a sailing ship here, maybe as a... Okay. Grandpa's neuropathy is going to take over, of course. Sorry about that. So these are easy to do, right? It's just a matter of getting a hull on boat. And here the trick would be the sails, right? And I didn't, Grandpa should have done this on the horizon and then that wouldn't have been an issue. Okay. So let's put sails there and sails up there. And put maybe like a little rudder area back there and maybe even a person or two on the boat there. So they're a bit away from us here. And what can we do to save the boat? Grandpa did not think about this in advance, but how about red sails? We have so much nice blues and greens in this. How about red sails? Now that I do that, I'm not sure. I should have done that, but these are all experiments here. And thank you for letting me experiment in front of you here. Okay, so there it is. Now with that up there, I think I ought to add just a little bit of undertone to the boat. And that seems sort of reddish thing. People can imagine whatever they want to, but I think it makes it more unified here. So the sun coming through, lining on that. Okay, so what we need to do is we just need to do a few more highlights on the dolphin. You can see what I've done is I've just touched up the dolphin's eyes and put a few marks along the coast here, including that, which might be like a lighthouse on there. Should probably spend more time drawing little circles here, but you know, impressionistic art means Grandpa makes lots of mistakes and you don't do every single detail here. Hey, but I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope you had fun watching it. Be good to one another and take care. Love you guys a lot. Bye-bye.